But our next topic, guys, is the blame game. The Marvels headline. Another trade has been accused of publishing a hit piece on director Nia DaCosta, and it's the Hollywood Reporter, even though there was a Variety report as well. And it's all coming from like people on Twitter. So like John Rocha, who's like, man, but this THR article reeks of a writer being willingly used by Marvel to bury a black creative. Skin color's got nothing to do with it. So Marvel can try and save some face here over the Marvel's poor reception. Do we really believe that the first black woman to direct an MCU would skip a cast and crew thing? And then it got community noted. According to Nia DaCosta's representative, DaCosta had not been invited to the cast and crew screening, only when she invited some crew members to her birthday party that she was having that same day. Did she learn of the screening?
That's more here. There's a lot of shade going back and forth over this stuff.
Yeah. Well, she abandoned the film. So why
did she though? See, this is what Script Doctor argued. It's like, did she really abandon the film, or was she not even asked to fucking be there? Did she say that?
Admitted. No, she admitted to abandoning the
film. I want to see the quote again, because as far as I took the quote, it almost sounded like they didn't want her there. And here again, she wasn't even fucking invited.
Well, Script Doctor.
But those are two different things. So she had other commitments to another film where she literally said, Marvel knew I had these commitments, so I had to leave. So she left before the film was finished. So maybe it wasn't as amicable as she had previously made out, but she did.
This was her quote. By the time I left to start prep on my next film, everyone was so clear about what the film was, what we wanted. Yep. It really wasn't this dramatic sort of thing people are thinking it is.
But exactly, but she may be downplaying it, but she still admits to leaving. This is what I mean. Like, I don't know. I'm not trying to defend either of them. I don't really care. But anyway, another person goes, I hope Nia DaCosta never does a film for Marvel Disney again. Don't worry, she probably won't, because that movie bombed. The way they're just letting the trades treat her like she's the most unprofessional director is crazy. If she does return to direct a comic book movie, I hope it's under DC. Why? I pray she never faces scrutiny like this again. Why? No one's infallible. The trade seemed to be assisting in Disney's plan to hang Nia DaCosta out to dry for the failure of what she's pretty much said is Marvel's movie, not hers. Not what she said, though, is it? As Tom literally just quoted. The article even mentions she wasn't invited in the first place, yet the tweet and headline have this framing. Again, more. I'm shutting down this Nia DaCosta BS going on. Absolutely no director attends the crew screening. Ridiculous to think they would. I don't know how many countless films I've worked, and that's the case. Shit, I don't go. I'm usually in another city already on another project. So that's a different perspective, isn't it? The way the trades can't stop targeting Nia DaCosta and trying to ruin her reputation is sickening. The screening was the night of her birthday, and her rep says she wasn't invited anyway. And anyone who takes part in this bullshit should be ashamed of themselves. Oh my God.
Oh, these
let's see what Ez actually said then, shall we? Why Marvel's director Nia DaCosta bailed on the cast and crew screening.
Well, and I got more of this here because, like, here's the other thing she said to that. It was literally... They just moved the date of the film 4 different times. So they kept moving the movie. That's the problem. And so instead of being a 2-year process, which I deeply committed to, it had become a 3.5-year process. So every time the date moved, and they knew the entire time that I had an obligation, a greenlit movie with people who are waiting for me. And I pushed that, and I pushed it again. And eventually we all knew if this gets pushed again, I'm not going to be in LA to do the rest of this in person. Okay. Yeah. So we just figured out a way for me to do it remote. So, because this was another thing that Collider came back and said, no, she did finish the process, but she did it remotely, is what they're reporting here in Bounding into Comics as well. So again, and I'm not trying to stick up for her either, but I do see where some of these people are saying that they're trying to paint this like she's the bad guy in this situation, when really it sounds, I'm kind of leaning more towards this is Marvel's bullshit. I don't give a fuck about her. But it just, to me, reeks of more and more problems that Marvel has with their talent.
Well, I mean, it's definitely blame games. I mean, like, reading this, for instance,
it's irreconcilable differences. It's a divorce. It's a divorce. They did both parties said.
Well, I mean, look at it this way: if you say a movie's going to come out August 30th, 2022, okay, you plan for 2 years. Like she said, it's a 2-year process. Okay, then they moved the movie to March of 2023. Then they moved the fucking movie again to July or whatever. Then whatever it was, and then because then they moved it to March, they moved it to July. Then they moved it to November. So that's like 3 or 4 fucking times they moved this movie on her now. I can understand where she's coming from in this. This is 3.5 years out of her fucking life.
Yeah, I mean the thing is, right? The thing about this entire film is everyone's a loser here. No one's right, no one's wrong. Everyone's wrong. Everyone's a loser in this entire situation over this entire film, through and through. Like all we're seeing here publicly on display is a blame game tactic from everyone. Actually, we saw a little bit from Nia previous to the release, and now we're seeing it from Marvel with how they're able to manipulate the trades in releasing stuff.
That's what I'm saying. The blame falls on them for continuing to hire these fresh out of short film / Oscar winning directors who have zero, and I mean zero, experience making any sort of film like this. That's the biggest problem you have here.
Previous film was that dog shit Candyman.
That's what I mean. None of that shit that she had done before, none of the shit that Deborah Chow had done before, none of the shit that the Shang-Chi director had done before, nothing that they had done before had screamed, let's give them a fucking Marvel movie. Right? Like James Gunn had earned his way up the ranks to make that. Like they took a shot, they took a chance on James, but he had actually directed about, I don't know, half a dozen or more movies at that point.
Yeah. Well, they also gave him something. Are you talking about James
Gunn?
But he was also given an obscure property as well.
That's what I mean. He was the first of the Marvel directors who was like not a well-known person, because you start out the first few Marvel directors were Jon Favreau, Kenneth Branagh, Joan Johnston, and then what's his face that everybody canceled for the third for the Avengers film. Forgot his name. The guy who did Justice League, Joss Whedon. Thank you. So you had those 4 guys kick off the Marvel Cinematic Universe, right?
Right.
Like, and those 4 guys are well-established directors. They've done this kind of shit before.
Right.
Yeah. And then you bring in James Gunn, and they're taking a chance. They took a chance on the guy. Taika Waititi, same kind of thing. They took a chance. It worked out the first time, didn't work out the second time. You know? So I mean, at the end of the day, this whole idea of bringing in these moldable directors, you know, even Peyton Reed had a little bit of pedigree behind him before he started doing this. So I mean, he was one of the only other ones. Sam Raimi was a work for hire deal. That was where I was like, oh, good. At least they're getting somebody in here that can direct. Oh no, he just did exactly what he was told to do.
Yeah. He took the paycheck, which is a shame. I'm seeing that a lot from Marvel, though. I mean, and you're right, Tom. I mean, think about the people they're bringing in now, like documentarians that are activists. They make documentary films about their activism. That's not going to lead to a high quality production, whether it be for Marvel Television on Disney Plus or, you know, on the cinema screen. It just doesn't work out. Disney is to blame for all of this.
Honestly, I think Ava DuVernay would have directed one of these movies had we not.
Almost.
Had she not already been over at DC?
New Gods, right?
Directed.
Yeah. The New Gods got canceled, right, Tom?
It did, but I'm saying if she hadn't already gotten hired for that, I bet you they just picked her up somewhere over at Marvel. That's my point.
Yeah, I agree.
Coogler is the only other one that they got that it was actually a director before. You know what I mean? Like, it's the only other one I could think of. Yeah. Even the Russo brothers were kind of like lower tier. Probably got a lot more than they should have. They earned it though with Captain America: Winter Soldier. That's the difference in Civil War.
Yeah, I agree with that. Well, look, at the end of the day, it's just childish blame games floating around. But thought it was funny. We got something to shuffle onto in a minute, though. We've got to take a little bit of super chat time now, though, guys.
She just better hope this doesn't ruin her career, basically. Yeah.
Her career is ruined anyway. Candyman was a bomb. This is a bomb. It's done.
She's the highest grossing black female director now. Didn't you know that, Mr. H? That's the only thing she can take home from this. That's sad.
Is that true?
It is true. And it's only because, and I did the research, there just hasn't been any prominent black female directors ever. There just never has been. And honestly, that's where I said, why didn't Hollywood raise a big, huge stink when the guy signed on, I can't remember his name, to sign on to direct the Color Purple remake, why didn't they demand a female black director direct that? Like, for one thing, I'd rather have a female directing it, whether she's black, white, Puerto Rican, whatever, because to me that story is more important coming from the woman's perspective than it does come from the fact of she's black.
That's a
right.
good
Like that's
point.
just part of the point. Right. And because everybody gave Steven Spielberg so much shit when he directed the 85 version. Like that was the biggest thing in the world that everybody was bitching about, was like, why do you get Steven Spielberg to direct this movie?
Well,
Who are you?
let's it's
sorry, I got set off there for a moment.
No, it's all right. It is interesting. It is interesting. But I mean, I think that's a whole other sort of conversation in and unto itself at another time, to be honest.
And she should have directed Color Purple and somebody else should have directed this. That's the point.
And someone else should have directed Candyman, because she did a terrible
And that
job.
too, yes, absolutely. Well, we should have never got another Candyman. That movie, the franchise was dead. Come on.
It was a franchise.
Sometimes horror films are just going to be bad. Okay.
Candyman 2 and 3 sucked donkey balls. We didn't need another one. The first one's the only good one, guys. Let's be real here.
The Candyman movie was going to be bad because of the era it was made in, modern era, and it was so heavy-handed. It was outrageous. But that's mainly because Jordan Peele was behind it, and he's a total cunt. Excuse my language. So we're going to shuffle
that was
on.
the problem from the start. I agree.
We're going to shuffle on before I lose my rack. And